For the first time in 46 years, the best of the best in the Sports Car Club of America return to the West Coast for the club's annual one-race battle for the title of champion in 27 classes. This year's three-day duel for the medals brings over 400 racers to California's Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca on the stunning Monterey Peninsula. It's time to seriously step up at the 2014 and 51st SCCA National Championship Runoffs. It is time for the chase to the championship in E-Production in the 2014 Sports Car Club of America National Championship Runoffs at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Jeff Leppard. Down trackside is Hayward Wagner, and this one is going to be absolutely spectacular. We're looking for this one. It is, of the production categories, it is the highest horsepower, fastest category remaining from the glory days of the old A-Prod, B-Prod C, all the way down, obviously, to D-Prod. Cars like the Scarab, the Lister Jags, the Cobras. Well, E-Production now, this is the class that has survived. It is the fastest of the production categories, and we are ready to go for 20 laps of racing, 40 minutes of racing, whichever comes first. And Hayward Wagner, you've got the best seat in the house. You get to be right next to these cars as they come by you. All right, apparently some sort of a technical issue with Hayward down in pit lane. We'll hear from him in just a minute, but he does have that bird's eye seat, so we want to check into what he's saying out there, Jeff. But even though these all run in the, they're all E-Prod cars, you can see the old British Roadsters that are such the classics, and then you see some newer cars, but there's a different prep standard between the two to keep them relatively close, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of different things you're allowed to do. The traditional production cars is basically unlimited, do what you want, and you call that limited prep that are now where there's a certain different rule set that you can have, not a lot of modifications. Some things you're allowed to do, some things you're not allowed to do.
Well, the interesting thing, too, as I recall with the older cars, it has to retain the old production layout. You can modify it like crazy, but they even have, scenarios like the gauges have to be in the same spot. I know there was a driver who liked to drive a Bug-Eye Sprite in H Production, really tall guy. He kept banging his knees on the dash, so he took a big piece of tire rubber, but cut it out so the gauges were all in the same spot as it would be, replaced the dash with that, so when he banged his knees on it, the whole thing had just flexed. But it retained the original layout. By rule, that was fine.
I guess that works out okay. A huge story that we have to talk about is the number 34, Jesse Prather from Topeka, Kansas, who qualified in the third position, blew the motor up, does not have a spare, unfortunately, has a lot of cars that he's prepping and maintaining and have built here this weekend, and he's not making that call, so your third place car, not on the grid, not able to make the championship race.
Oh, that is just, I'm sure decimating for him, but he is so busy. He's a former national champion, of course, won the championship in this class in 08 and 07, won it in F production, and is awfully quick. But, it's a business now for him, and he understands, I don't have time to build and rebuild the motor. I've got to look after my other customers, and he does that very well. But we are ready to go racing, and on the pole, he actually moved up. It had been Jim Daniels, that blue Mazda on the outside, had been fastest in the first two sessions, and Matt Reynolds, who was Sports Cars pick to win this one, went to the pole in that third and final session. We are ready to go racing. 20 laps, about to unfold. The green flies. Ooh, you see that? A little bit of a dance there. And Daniels realized, I don't want to go early. He had to dip the brake. 3 abreast. That is an old rotary engine from Aaron Downey up and around the outside. A lot of straight line speed. Can't get it done. Daniels, though, trying to stay put around the outside of Reynolds.
Yeah, Aaron Downey says he's spent 20 years building that car, trying to get this going, but Jim Daniels onto the inside.
Daniels is one of the most aggressive racers, and you can see they just touched and got Matt Reynolds loosened up just a little bit, and that was enough for Daniels to just slice through underneath. But Aaron Downey, once again, up from 5th into 3rd, and he said, ironically, he really thought that he would be, much stronger on the straights than he would be in the twisty bits, and he said, for some reason, just this chassis, the way it is working, really is actually pretty quick in the twisty bits, too.
Yeah, doing a great job around that. His 12th runoff start that he's had in that little RX-3, and great to see that car. It's nice to see a little change up over the traditional, 4 cylinders or V6s or V8s that we see here this weekend.
And Bruce Cavale has had a great start, jumping up into 4th all the way from 7th, of course, helping with Jesse Prather not starting, but that absolutely gorgeous Huffaker engineer Jensen Healy has made a superb launch He's the next car. It is without a doubt one of the prettiest cars here this week. Absolutely stunning. But he's chasing this trio right now. These 3 Mazdas, and of course one of them pretty old vintage, that RX-3.
Yeah, great vintage there, but it's a good shot at Jim Daniels. That is the winningest Mazda Miata in the country. It was the second Miata to ever even have a logbook in the entire country. Pratt Cole's old championship winning car, the first car to win an SCCA, first Miata to win an SCCA national race. So a lot of history with this car. I think I got word that might be going into Mazda Museum here pretty quick, so we might see Jim Daniels in another car next year.
Well, he's going to fight that pretty hard, the way that thing goes. He gets a lot out of it, as he does right now, leading at the end of the first lap over Reynolds. And those are the 2 that went 1-2 by Sports Car. That's the official publication of the Sports Car Club of America. And every year they do a who will win. And they thought it would be one of these 2 guys. They actually picked, though, the 71 of Reynolds to be the first one. And he is, got the pole. He got that tire rack pole. Boy, they are racing fiercely. And Downey's sticking right there. This is one of the things you got to love about SCCA racing. We've said it before. Doesn't matter the vintage of your car. Doesn't matter what kind of car. There's a place for you to race. And as you can see, competitively.
Well, I'll tell you what, those Mazda Miatas, nice little small, really low to the ground. But Jim Daniels making that car 90 feet wide coming out through turn number 4 and up to 5 and 6.
Yep, here we go. There's that very tricky 6. There's the compression, then it floats, and Daniels drops the wheel. That's just enough. And up and through into the lead goes Matt Reynolds. And Jeff, a couple more guys in the back throwing those cars off down there. And that's what happens. You carry just that 1 iota too much speed, and you're going to do that. And when you got caliber of drivers like a Matt Reynolds right behind you, you can't.
No, you see how much space he lost, and that was that uphill climb. Could not have happened in a worse place on this track.
Yep, momentum. It's just huge when you're climbing hills like that. These are relatively powerful cars, but it's also a production-based car, so they've got the weight and the like. And you can see, Reynolds has parlayed that now into a nice little margin, and it was just that one section climbing up that hill. As he comes across the line and picks up that lead point, the margin that he had just from that incident alone is almost a full second.
Yeah, it sure is. A full second just by that. Now he's under attack from Aaron Downey down to the inside.
Downey giving him the nose, but he just couldn't get in quite deep enough on the brakes. But boy, I love to see Aaron Downey race. I had an opportunity to do a little chat with him at a Mazda dinner on Wednesday night. And he said, I said, why do you stick with this? There's the newer cars and everything. He said, what can I tell you? He said, I love the sound of the rotary. And he said, I love the feel of the rotary. And he said, I just love driving this RX-3. He said, as long as it's competitive, I'm going to keep running it. Well, I think he's going to be around a while.
Well, he's been second twice and third once, trying to get the top step of that podium in that beautiful RX-3. I talked to him a little bit earlier. He's local here. Has seen this guy race all over all the local tracks here in Northern California, and said he's been waiting 20 years for them to come here to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca or West Coast, and he's looking forward to this, trying to get this going.
There's a look at the 09, a little bit farther back in the pack. Scott Graff, he's in the Toledo, Oregon based, runs the Nissan 260Z, and that's the kind of car that won the race in Road America in the 50th anniversary of the SCCA Runoffs. Last year was actually a 280Z, but the same idea in the hands of Greg Ira, not here, so we'll definitely have a new national champion. But those guys putting on a pretty fierce battle, and again, a little bit farther back in the pack, that's the battle for 16th, 17th, 18th in that area of the track.
Battles all over in our E-production category. Here's some of those old British sports cars. You talk about that, and these are not the kit car Lotus 7s. These are original ones. I don't think you're allowed to run the kit car versions in the E-Prod. I'll have to get confirmation on that, but these should be the original chassis Lotus 7 cars, modified with the roll cages, obviously suspension modifications, and heavily engine modified in these little Lotus 7s. Got to be a fun car to drive.
Oh, it's like driving a little Formula car from what I've heard. That is the battle for 11th. That's Mike Halbrook right there in that blue number 75. Right behind him, the number 6 of Joe Kelly. Those two cars having a great scrap right now for the 11th spot right now, and a huge battle down into turn 2. They call that the Andretti hairpin.
Well, got to work.
Whoa! But they turn like a Formula car, and they pivot like a Formula car when it goes away.
Yeah, downforce like a Formula F car, I guess. But yeah, there's tough getting that back underway. And these actually are the Caterham models, so this is a pretty recent, some good technology into those cars, and getting back to those old Lotus 7 days and that look. I just love those little cars.
Oh, without a doubt. Now that's going to drop Joe back from 12th, I think, to 14th, moving up the 42 of Philip Royal and the number 9 of Rick Kodrowski. So, again, there's John Brockie not used to seeing John Brocky run quite as far back, and I'm talking all the way back to 6th. I mean, that's not that far back, but of course a multiple national champion. Great story with John. He used to run a Yenko Stinger, if you remember those cars, the Corvair, and he was exceptionally fast. Took that car a lot faster than it ever should have been, but it just never had the car underneath him to be able to contend for a national championship. In 2003, he said, if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him. Got one of those Mazda Miata E-Prod cars and promptly went on and won his first national championship that first year. He's now got 3 under his belt. That red number 89, great driver and a great guy.
Yeah, got a lot more room inside that car too. I remember looking inside that Corvair and he actually had like an air tunnel from the front and the passenger side all the way to the rear motor to help cool that rear engine Corvair.
There's the battle for the 7th spot, 17 of Josh Carroll, the 14 of Roland Kimber, as they're chasing Brocky in that 6th spot. And the 28 now of Anthony Jimerson, who we're watching, has that's the guy who's sitting in 5th, and Brocky is in the attack mode right now, trying to crack that top 5.
Yeah, Jimerson doing a great job in that 2nd generation Mazda RX-7, so another one of those rotary engine Mazdas here in the E-Production category. So we have the 4 cylinders in these Miatas, and then the rotaries in the Gen 2 RX-7s, as well as I think I saw a couple Gen 1 RX-7s, and we have that RX-3 running 3rd with Aaron Downey.
Absolutely fantastic what we're seeing out of Anthony Jimerson right now. And that number 28 had a good run. It qualified back in 9th, so he's worked his way up into 5th. That's the 18 Mechanical JPM RX-7, as you point out. But Brocky got a great run out of 5. Looking up the hill here. I don't think he's going to be quite quick enough to make that move at that stage of the race. And he's in that Margaret Peterson Bars Mazda Miata. Nope, couldn't do it, and actually lost a little ground coming through 6.
Trying to catch back up, and you see that gap that opened up right there. It's almost 5 car lengths back as it goes up that hill. It can kill you, but it can reward you too. If the guy in front of you makes a mistake, you get a good run up into the corkscrew to that braking zone.
Out of turn 8, dropping down into turn 9 right now. And this is that tricky corner. It's called the Rainey Curve, named after motorcycle racing legend Wayne Rainey. And as you drop down through there, then you get here to turn 10. A little bit of banking on that corner that you can really carry a lot more speed into it, but then it sort of flips you out off the outside. So you've really got to get your timing right on turn in there, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. You got to get that. And there's only really one mark to go there to get the good run out of the straightaway and down onto the front stretch into that Andretti hairpin. Looking at the times, though, Matt Reynolds has pulled a 1.8 second lead over Jim Daniels now, continually lapping about a half a second quicker lap after lap. I know that I was talking to Jim Daniels a little bit earlier, and he mentioned there was some little bit of controversy down there in that Mazda tent. Had some problems with some settings on a lot of the cars, and looks like doesn't quite have it back to where he was during that Tuesday qualifying session.
Oh, right, yeah, exactly. There's Brocky now showing a nose underneath. Interesting, you're talking about the pace of Matt Reynolds. He said we actually skipped a couple of races we normally would have run this year. As he comes out of Burn, Texas, and runs the Alamo region, and he said, what we decided to do is we came out to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. He said, I wanted to run some driver schools. He said, I needed to get some time on this track. He goes, basically, instead of racing, we decided to spend a little time tuning the most stubborn component to tune in a race car, the driver. And he said the best way to do that is get some great instruction from the school that unfolds here. Boy, it seems to have paid off.
Yeah, you got to tighten that nut behind the wheel. That's the hardest one to do. But this is a good track that you can be really good at. It's a hard track to be great at.
That's a great way to put it, absolutely. And I'll tell you, great out of turn 6. We see Brocky all over the back of Jameson through 4, up through 5. They get to turn 6, and Jameson, I don't know whether that's just his line through there or whether it is just the power of that car, but he absolutely gets after it. There is the number 71. What a day he's having from that tire rack pole, leading away right now, the number 71 of Matt Reynolds, the Reynolds Brothers Racing, JPM, and Vintage Connections Mazda Miata.
Yeah, doing a great job there, leading the gap now 4.8 seconds. We're not sure if Jim Daniels is having a problem, but his last lap was 3 seconds slower than Matt Reynolds, a 1:41.5.
Wow.
Aaron Downey was running about 4/10 quicker than Jim Daniels. We'll have to pay attention to that. Jim Daniels was actually leading a lot at the Road America round last year and had a problem when he ran off course in the exit of turn number 6, and the shifter came up, but you see him fighting the wheel there through turn number 4.
Yeah, that's definitely looks like it's gone off just a little bit. By the way, Matt Reynolds, just to give you an idea of his year, he won the Mid-States Conference in the U.S. Majors Tour, which is the top level of SCCA Club National Racing, on which is the top tier. But listen to this, 6 poles, 6 wins, 10 podiums, 10 top 3s over the course of the season. That's a dominant year. And as a result, he is the only guy in this race, and there can only be one, who's super sweep eligible. So if he wins this, He's already got the other components. If he wins this, not only does he get the gold, ooh, rough ride down through the exit of 8 and 8 into 8-8 that I thought he was going to pop off the track there. He's really struggling. Jim Daniels is right now.
Yeah, that car is not happy, and Jim's probably not going to be very happy behind the wheel. Doesn't look like a tire's going down or anything, just must have lost the handling in the car. Like I said, a lot of the settings were, unfortunately, somehow, on about 6 of the EP cars, were all changed overnight. Somehow, I don't know how that always happens, but looks like he did not quite get those settings back to his car on Tuesday.
Boy, that'll frustrate you when you work so hard. I mean, he was on pole. He had the pole and somewhat comfortably after the first 2 sessions, and then it was the next session, the final qualifying session on Thursday, that Reynolds was able to jump up and move around him and take that pole away. But boy, I'll tell you right now, Jim Daniels, who is one fierce competitor, you know it's just driving him insane right now, watching Reynolds drive away and know that it really isn't necessarily possibly something of his doing.
Yeah, not at all.
Or his crews, yeah.
Had some heart problems the last couple of years. Looks like he got that back underway. Pratt Cole, who owns this car, said, hey, if you are able to recover, I want you to take this car. I want you to campaign it and run it. He ran it last year and running it again here this year. So really appreciate Pratt Cole and glad to see Jim Daniels back on the road to recovery.
Yeah, that is a class act, that's for sure. By the way, Brocky, you see, who just dropped that tire, he has now gone around. Jimerson picked up the 5th spot, and Jimerson now sits in 6th, but on the prowl right now is the number 17 of Josh Carroll, who qualified 4th, essentially started 3rd with Prather not being there, and then has dropped out of that top 5. So Josh Carroll in the Insight Mazda RX-7 now trying to figure out a way to crack the top 5 on his own.
Yeah, maybe he can try to help Jimerson maybe a little bit, and they could try to run down Brocky. I'm not sure if that's going to be a case because that little Mazda Miata looks like it's on a rail coming there through turn 6 up the hill.
Yeah, Brocky's wheeling it really, really well again, but Jimerson just is so good through 6, and that RX-7's got some serious horsepower up the hill. Watching Brocky's line through there, he tends to turn it in a little bit sooner to the apex, but I noticed both the guys behind him do as well. That's a corner that we've seen a variety of different approaches, and sometimes just depending upon the type of car.
Yeah, you could, if you really want to pay attention to that, you get a guy at the top of the hill and a guy at the top of the bottom of the hill and start doing some segment times. Or with the cars now and the data systems they have, you're able to put waypoints down on different points of the track to see what the best line is through there. And it could be a driver preference. It could be a car preference. Your car could be happier through there. You may not be faster, but the car's happier. It makes the driver feel happier.
Well, confidence is an awful key factor in any race car, that's for sure. Ooh, it looks like we have a pass as Carroll got a run at Jameson. There is Bruce Qualley in 4th, Brocky in 5th, and then behind them is that potential battle. And it looked like, see if we can watch in the background there. Yep, he's, well, side by side. Is he able to make it stick there? Still side by side. Jameson not giving up.
Yeah, Jimerson.
Carroll right there. Jimerson, well, he's going to be able to hang on to it. But boy, I'll tell you, I think that Josh Carroll is coming after him.
Yeah, Jimerson over the Carroll right now. Battle of the 2nd generation RX-7s. Who's got the better rotary? Don't forget that old first gate, that RX-7, that's the 1st generation right behind them. So battle the rotaries here for 6th, 7th, and 8th with Roland Camber, that number 14 RX-7, starting to get into the fray.
Absolutely, yeah, he is, isn't he? He's coming right up into this game. But Josh Carroll, right now, that sort of...
and Jimerson way to the outside.
Ooh, nice save, but that's going to absolutely park that momentum.
Yeah, Roland Camber should have no problem coming up here to the corkscrew, getting around him right. Does that. Well, they're still side by side in the corkscrew, but he does make that pass before the turn in at turn number 7.
And he is through, so that now puts Carroll up into 5th. Camber, as you said, what a great racing name, huh? Roland Camber, gotta love that. Into 6th, and now Jimerson slips back into the 7th spot right now. I'm not sure we've seen the last of him yet.
No, I don't think so either. He'll recover pretty quick, knock those rocks and dust off those tires to get back going and try to run these 2 guys back down, move back up, see if he can battle for that top 6 position again. And
our leader has completed lap 10. We are halfway through this run to the medals in E production. And there's a look down the front straight. There goes Josh Carroll, who now sits in the 6th spot with Camber, then Jimerson. The number 7 of Larry Cooper, by the way, runs 9th, and completing our top 10, the 27 of Jamie Blust. That's your top 10 at this stage. But let's see, I'm watching the times here. Roland Camber looks like he's picking the pace up a little bit, and he definitely is. He's running quicker than anybody around him at this point. The problem is up front you've got John Brocky, who is just uncorking a series of 140s compared to Bruce Qualley's 142s. So Brocky might have some designs on 4th in fairly short order.
Yeah, doing some best laps here kind of halfway through. Matt Reynolds still in the 138s. Jim Daniels second place in the 140s. Tells you the best. We got a car that's a little bit off pace. One of those Caterham 7 Americas off to the driver's right on the exit of turn number 5.
Yeah, it just does not look like that car is at full song at all, and he's just being very, and there's an issue. That is the number 79, Phil Mendelovitz in the Top Tech Motorsports. That's a Nissan, and I don't see a lot of those running, but when they do, they're usually extremely good in this class.
Yeah, that little Nissan, I believe that was looked like it was I think an old 200, I think is what those were. Yeah. You know, so pretty neat history with the Nissan here. Nissan has a huge contingent going on down into the infield here. So if you are listening live and want to head over to the infield Nissan, you can sign up and be part of that GT Academy. Top time today wins a PlayStation 3, and you're automatically entered when you sign up to get yourself a Nissan hat for an all-expense paid trip to the 24 Hours of Daytona next year. Pretty good. Absolutely.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's check in down to the pits. Good to hear from you, Hayward.
Yeah, guys, just a real quick note on that 79 car. That's Phil Mendelovitz. We caught up with him. That's Bob Studdard's old car. That car won the runoffs in 1987. He DNF'd the runoffs in 89, and when Phil found the car a couple of months ago, it had an oil filter marked October 1989 on it and a picture of Jim Fitzgerald taped to the dashboard.
Oh, what a great story. I mean, that story right there is just chock full of the history of the runoffs here, as we're getting some interesting developments, running through some traffic now, Jeff. And nice job there, Carroll weeding his way through very, very cleanly, and Roland Camber, that white car with the orange stripes, number 14, following him through beautifully.
Yeah, and Jimerson got held up a little bit by that RX-7 there, coming out of turn at number 3, still trying to recover from dropping those 2 wheels off, and that's how quick it was. He was right there ahead of him, dropped those wheels off, and you see that gap now over about 4.2 seconds from Josh Carroll back to Jimerson.
And that's one of the things that Hayward was talking about with that car sitting there. I mean, these cars live for so long and can be very competitive. That's what makes this class, production in particular, so fun. We're going to step away about the midpoint here of the battle for the medals in E-production. We'll be right back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. The 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs are being brought to you in HD by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. And by Hankook, driving emotion.
Some people go to enormous lengths in the name of safety, like the inventor of the flame-resistant racing suit, Bill Simpson. Courageous engineering is also the Mazda way, and why the 2014 Mazda 3 has an available class-exclusive suite of 8 safety features and a top safety rating. Because when it comes to safety, you can never go too far. This is the 2014 Mazda 3. What do you drive?
This is Kenny. Kenny is a dentist, but he races autocross on the weekends. But he's not thinking about his tires right now. Kenny buys all his tires from TireRack.com. Using their exclusive test track reviews, he knows he's always getting the right tires for his car. But Kenny's not thinking about tires right now. Kenny's thinking, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is awesome. TireRack.com, proud sponsor of the Tire Rack SCCA National Solo Program.
The machines and their manufacturers span the planet. This is no spec series. Diversity breeds excellence and brings battle. Ride with the best and test the iconic circuits of North America. No pit stops, no quarter. The world watches and knows this is how racing should be.
One of those iconic circuits is Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. We are here. There is your leader, Matt Reynolds, as he continues to open that margin up over a struggling Jim Daniels, up over to almost 12 seconds at this point. So Reynolds having one of those clinic kind of a days, a fantastic run. While we were in break, by the way, Anthony Jimerson having a mechanical issue. He is pulled behind the wall. His day is done. So it's Reynolds over Daniels, third still. That beautiful RX3 of Aaron Downey, and he's not too far back here in this one. Then it's the 43 of Bruce Cavalli, the beautiful Huffaker Engineering prepped Jensen Healy, and then in 5th, the number 89 of John Brocky, a multi-time national champ. Josh Carroll in that gold number 17 sits in 6th. Roland Camber, the number 14 in 7th. Larry Cooper, the number 7 in 8th. 27 of Jamie Bluss now up in the 9th, and Rich Kodrowski in the number 9 sits in the 10th spot. But Reynolds is just hooked up. I mean, his consistency of speed here is what's really been impressive, I think.
Yeah, it really has. Usually you see the cars start dropping off later in the parks, especially with the production cars, because they're really set on kill. You pull the pin, sort of go out there and wait for the grenade to blow, but not happening so far. And usually these cars are a lot closer in prep and timing. To have an 11.6 second lead in a production class car, that's telling you how great that car is hooked up for Matt Reynolds. Huge tank slapper there for Downey.
Yeah, Downey is pushing so hard, and he's lost touch now with Daniels. Even with Daniels' problems, Downey, and you can see that car now starting to get real tail happy, and it's quite obvious when you see him up against close to, when he goes by one of the RX or the Mazda Miatas in particular, even the RX-7s, that car has a lot higher center of gravity. The back end of that car just sits up a lot higher, which means there's a lot more opportunity for that car to pitch loose, isn't there?
Yeah, there sure is. There's a number 91 Mazda, Steve Sachs from San Francisco, California. Did a good job coming into the runoffs, making his first ever start in the runoffs, so great job from him. Just out there running around and enjoying. Bobby got a big smile on his face, glad to be here.
He is part of it. Yeah, he is. I mean, you're part of the runoffs. Just getting here is a major accomplishment. You qualify and get the invite to come here. You've had a good year. Then you can just have the opportunity to put the period on it with a great run here at the runoffs. Not quite where he might want to be, but he is a part of it here. And you can see Downey continuing to run a little bit loose out there. Here is a battle. This is kind of fun. Battle for 10th here. And as I said, Rich Kodrowski in the number 9, Rick, has gone around and picked the 10th spot up over the 75 of Halbrook. And these two guys are having a superb battle. And right behind them, actually a little bit off, so they've got room behind them back to the 19 at Cale Swivs. So these two guys could just focus on each other right now and have a great race, and they're doing just that.
And Halbrook just had his fastest race lap so far of the year, and you see, you saw Kodrowski drop a couple wheels off there, and right behind him, Halbrook follows the same thing. Monkey see, monkey do, I guess, right?
Yep. Target fixation, run that line, and but these cars, we've seen it, they are so nimble. They don't necessarily have the straight line speed, but they've got such amazing mid-corner speed. When you get them rotated and planted through those corners, they just fly.
Yeah, it's fun watching these guys. I was watching the bottom of the corkscrew as they were coming down through that, and they just, like you said, it's like a little tiny go-kart as they come through the go-kart, plant the car, and then shoot right off out of down into turn number 8, the Wayne Rainey curve there. So it's pretty cool to watch, and it's got to be fun to be in there. Open cockpit, your visor's flapping, your helmet's shaking,
yep.
The air blowing right in your face. It's just, I have a smile on my face all day long if I got to drive one of these.
Yeah, grooving it old school is really what that feels like. There's that drop down through turn 8, the corkscrew here, and then into turn number 9, Rainy curve. And this one gets your heart going. I mean, it is a fast corner, and you are still, believe me, folks, dropping down this hillside. Yeah,
it's a big, long climb. If you ever had to do it, it's a big, long climb all the way up to here. Here's a good shot of Larry Cooper, that number 7. He's 8th place right now, trying to catch up with the two guys that are battling, Josh Carroll and Roland Camber. He's only about 10 seconds back, and it was 16 seconds a couple laps ago, so moving on up, but he's starting to be under attack behind him. That's Jamie Blust in the number 27 Mazda right behind him, so starting to be a good battle here for the 8th place.
Yeah, it is indeed, and Larry Cooper, great sense of humor this man has. Under sponsor on our list, it just says half bald. I don't know if he's talking about himself or the tires he runs, but the guy is a lot of fun, and obviously is a pretty good wheel man here. But boy, Jamie Blust has made up some serious time here and really tracked him down.
And he's running a Datsun 240Z, and of course Nissan having a big contingent here, but he's got the big Datsun on the windshield there, listed as a Datsun 240Z, so good to see that, the old school cars. And another one of those Mazdas right behind him. I believe that looks like a second generation Mazda RX-7. Not a Miata like I called it earlier.
And here we go. There's, boy, that compression at 6 is really abrupt, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you really feel that too. And if you can get the car just to rotate right before that, you give the wheel a quick little jerk, you get the car planted, you feel it right in your back, and it just kind of plants you and it shoots you and catapults you right up that hill.
And obviously when you hit that compression, you're going to get that little bit of bite, but then it goes away. So you better have that car pointed in the right direction at that point, or you're in for an interesting ride on the landscape around here of the Dry Lagoon, Laguna Seca. And this area, of course, as we've talked about, it's a park. And so there's, obviously lots going on. You can see all the trails in the back shots and the like, and there's campsites that are used year-round. I mean, it is an active park, but you get something pretty special. You've got a track like this running through the park you're camping in, and that's what makes any race here special at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and especially the runoffs. This one race for the title of champion after a long season of racing at the national level in the U.S. Majors Tours. Ooh, big moment there. Completely sideways for the 75 of Halbrook. He was able to hang on to it, but boy, that was sketchy.
Yeah, it sure was. He was 11th, so in that battle for 10th we talked about a little bit earlier. Don't see any other cars involved in that. Might have just ran a little bit far off there. Caught it when he came back around. That's another one of those corners like turn 6. If you get off to the right and come back to the left, you immediately just shoot back. But still looks like he's trying to get those tires cleaned off. A little loose coming out of the Andretti hairpin.
Yep, feeding it now into turn 3. That lap car just sitting there right up in front. That's the one of those beautiful Nissans or Datsuns we were just talking about. And there is Halbrook feeding it through turn 4 and making that run up into turn 5. And now the question is, does he have anything? I mean, he was right on the back before that happened of the number 9 of Kozdraski. Now he's lost a fair amount of ground to him. There's our leader, 71, Matt Reynolds. His margin now, he's backed it off. He's only gaining a couple of tenths a lap, and it's just about 13 seconds at this stage. Smart guy, late in the race at this stage. You don't need to push hard when you got a huge margin like that.
Yeah, I've always been so afraid to do that, though. You don't want to back off, and you would have said if I would have just kept pushing, and you do have a problem with 1 lap to go, he never would have got it around me. But then again, if you're pushing too hard, you break something, not able to finish anyway. Sometimes it'll take you out of your groove. You're used to getting the braking points, your turn-in points, and now you're going to change that by backing off a little bit. Sometimes it can even slow you up even more.
Well, that's true. And then there are the guys that usually not up at the front, because obviously if you're winning, you have figured out, well, he's not backing off, locking up that tire.
Up the brake, yeah.
So, that was our answer right there. But sometimes you'll have guys that are out there and, they're just pushing too hard. They're overdriving and trying to get, and finally they'll go, well, I'm just going to back off a little bit. Suddenly they're going faster, and it's because they've smoothed everything out just a little bit. And boy, I'll tell you, this is when the other part of the club, the volunteers, the workers, the flaggers come into play. And anybody who says, you're out there, you're just watching. No. When you are on a corner, you are absolutely a participant in these races, because if you're doing your job as a flagger and you can get guys through traffic without them being impeded in any way, you are truly a part of the race. It's very satisfying. Yes, it is the best seat in the house, no question. But you get out there, you're a part of this race, no question. And it's just all part of being the club, Sports Car Club of America. There's so many different specialties and opportunities here to be able to get out and be a part of things.
Yeah, we're timing and scoring, scrutineering, the tech department. There's a lot of different registration. There's so many things you can do. I started in timing and scoring when I was 6 years old. I had to push the button right before the car got there, write the number down. They would send that over to the lap chart. They'd look on the lap chart, do the math to see what the lap times were. It was no transponders back in those days. You had 30, 40 people working timing and scoring, one per car.
Yeah, it was crazy to watch what they would have to do, running the tape and all that. That is the number 14, 7th spot right now for the number 14 of Mr. Roland Camber, and great to have him here. He is taking a look at his history. Pretty interesting. This is only his 3rd start in a runoffs, and his best finish was 7th back in 2002 at Mid-Ohio in E-Production. So an opportunity as this series, this event, if you will, has moved out here. He's from Campbell, California, runs out of the San Francisco region. So nice to have an event of this stature, this magnitude, right in your backyard.
Yeah, really there. It's not very far away. Campbell is right just south of San Jose in the Silicon Valley, so really close over here for Campbell. Got a good shot earlier, that number 6 Caterham of Joe Kelly out there running around, getting his best laps of the event so far, so good for him. And there's a good shot there, that number 43 Huffaker, Bruce Volley, in that beautiful Jensen Healy. I mean, this car, if you get a chance to come into the pits or ever seen these Huffaker engineered cars, this car, you used to get a good shot there from that camera, just how gorgeous that car is.
Oh, they are well prepped. As I've said often about, if you're driving a Huffaker prep car, you have no excuses, because you know that car is in absolutely tip-top shape and is as fast as it gets. So it's on you at that point to get the job done. Doing a nice job, and of course the Cavalli name, bit of history in SCCA on different levels.
Oh, absolutely. Remember the old Tommy Bahama Trans Am cars, the Augusta, the Augustas that they had, and those were cool cars, all prepped by Huffaker Race Engineering. They actually have one on display at Sonoma Raceway up at the Huffaker shop on the top of the hill there by the go-kart track, so it's good to see some of that old history,
So a little bit of a change, we understand here. Cooper, Blust have been having a great battle. It looks like Jamie Blust, yep, he has been able to move around and pick that A spot up from the number 7 of Cooper. There's Jamie having a very good run, as we talked about. Qualified back in the 13th spot and now finds himself up into 8th. So, we got a couple of specialty awards. One is the Sunoco Hart Charger. Watching the numbers, that's all done by timing and scoring, usually after we're done with our coverage. But he would certainly at this point be a potential candidate, I would think.
I think so. As a candidate, there's a lot of different views to look at to try to win that. We had the Sunoco Hard Charger, that GoPro, and we also talked about the tire rack pole sitter. Once again, your leader, Matt Reynolds. So a lot of great specialty awards, let alone the contingencies these guys get from the manufacturers, what they get from the tire makers, spark plugs. I mean, there's just every little thing you can get with the contingency sponsors. That's what all those stickers on their car for. And good to see that as they complete. There should be 1 lap to go.
Watch for that white flag. There it flies up at the top right of your screen. So indeed, Matt Reynolds from the tire rack pole, possibly earning a national championship. Again, the culmination of the entire program that is called the Safe Racer Club Racing Program within the SCCA. And again, you can go through your division. 9 different divisions make up the Sports Car Club of America, laid out across the country. They combine a few of those divisions into what they call conferences for the U.S. Majors Tour. And there's a few different routes that you can make to get here to the runoffs. But really the basic gist of each one of those routes, whichever way you go, you need to succeed. You need to win, you need to be fast, and that's what gets you to the runoffs. It gives you an opportunity with this one race for all the marbles for the national championship. And Matt Reynolds has been, near perfection here. Just consistent, fast. That right at the start, lost the lead momentarily there, and that was it.
Yeah, and I haven't seen him drop a wheel off. He's staying off the curbs. He's running right to the edge of the track, but not running the curbs a lot.
Yep.
Just never put a wheel wrong, and he's definitely earned this E-Production victory.
Yeah, without doubt. We also have another award. It's the GoPro Hero Move of the Race Award, and that's chosen by a committee that will be giving you the word on that. If it were me, I'd be looking at Aaron Downey hanging on to that RX-3 and driving the wheels off that thing, carrying those big lurid slides. That's hero move, material right there. But we've had some other great stuff that's unfolded too, so we'll find out what the decision is on that. But one thing we know almost for certain at this point, out of the last turn, your tire rack pole sitter becomes a national champion. What a day for Matt Reynolds as he comes by, and guess what? That's a super sweep.
Super sweep and his first ever national championship win, and 12 tries.
Well, basically, we just got word, and here comes Jim Daniels, who I think will be a little frustrated. I think he knew he had a car, if everything was right with it, that could have been a contender, and he ends up still with a silver medal. But the GoPro Hero Award actually just came in. It's going to Matt Reynolds for kicking butt and taking names, which he did. And I think being a part of that, being a hero, when you win the super sweep, winning a national championship's tough enough, but there's more. Look at this. Battle for fourth. Cavalli has run down Aaron Downey as we were watching our top 3 come through. It was that close at the end. Wow, unbelievable. That was Aaron Downey barely hanging on to that bronze medal, and Cavalli in 4th coming right after him. That was spectacular stuff. And Downey on that last lap about 2 seconds slower than Cavalli. So I'll tell you though, he drove the wheels off of that RX-3, and there is Matt Reynolds out and enjoying that day. Yeah, but talking about it when you win the super sweep, the national championship's tough enough, but you have to win the national points. They just keep a table and the highest point score in the class across all of the the national racing. You have to do that. You got to win your conference in the U.S. Majors Tour. Talk about tough. Then they've got these 9 key races, most of them the B.F. Goodrich Super Tour events, which are the super high profile. Got to win one of those, and then the runoffs on top of it. Are you insane? This guy's done it.
Yeah, did it all. Truly not only a dominating runoffs, but a dominating 2014 season, all capped off with that gold medal that he'll be getting when he comes right down here on pit lane and meet up with Hayward Wagner for the winter interview. It's going to be fun to see as this truly dominating performance in this Mazda Miata all season long. Great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the the cameras, the GoPros he's got up there. Obviously, he'll
add one more.
He'll squeeze another one in there. But they're tools. They're not just fun toys. They are learning tools, these GoPros, and they help you be a hero. They help you put together a performance like he was today. You study the visuals and you compare it with the data, and nice things happen. And I'll tell you what a day for this guy. Waiting for him now. He's in, obviously, just going to get the helmet off. And then Hayward Wagner will be there and ready to have a chat with our E-Production National Champion for 2014. Absolutely spectacular. Hayward, he's all yours, man.
Matt Reynolds getting out of the 71 car, your winner here in E-Production, working on the Hans device in the helmet here. Matt, you had a great race. You really were able to take command after a pass for the lead and just kind of drive away from everybody. What was it like for you in the car today?
Car felt great. Car felt real good. Was running behind Jim for a couple laps and just made my move, and car felt amazing. Just tried to hit my marks and be consistent.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we all got a magazine with your picture on the cover. It said The Determined. You were picked to win the class on the cover of Sports Car coming into the runoffs. What kind of pressure did you feel as you took the grid today?
Well, there's always a little bit of pressure coming in the runoffs, but that kind of heightened it a little bit. But, you know, I do got to say Sports Car was right.
Absolutely was.
Nice.
You're a super sweep winner. You're a runoffs champion. You get the GoPro hero move of the race for the margin that you had. Just a great overall performance. You're going to get a victory lap. Anybody you need to thank before we get you out of here?
Well, I got to thank everybody, but first off, Mazda Speed is amazing. They give us all the support we need for racing. It's great. Hoosier Tires, Jesse Prather Motorsports built me one great engine, and that really helped us get to the front, and Vintage Connection for all the race prep on the car.
Well, a big congratulations. Oh, one more.
And of course, my dad and my family, and my girlfriend Taylor's here, and my mom. Hi, Mom.
Excellent. Well, big congratulations to you, Matt. You get a victory lap. We're going to step back one position to Jim Daniels. Jim, it looked like a couple of laps in, the car got away from you, maybe a grip issue. The guys in the booth wondered if a tire had been cut, but it seemed to come back. Talk about the race.
Well, we got vandalized on Tuesday night in the Mazda tent. Someone came and turned all our spring purchase up, changed all our shock settings, moved the brake bias, and I only had 2 20-minute sessions to get it back. Car was so loose I couldn't hang on to it. So I just waited for the fronts to come in, and they're late in the run. You know, I was able to get some 40s, but car run 36 and 7s all practice day. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad to get second. I'm very glad for Matt. He deserves it, and I'm glad that we got a Mazda 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely. Now, you got a great jump there on the start. Did you feel like you had a chance to make some distance there, or were you just waiting for him?
Well, I thought if I could turn some 37s like I tested all week, that he was going to be in trouble, and I just couldn't do it. So he got it done, I couldn't, and that's just racing. I'll get him next year.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the silver. We're going to step back. We've got one more driver that we need to speak with. This is Aaron Downey. Man, Downey is a good sounding name with a rotary engine. How was it out there, Aaron?
It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, and I gotta say, we put together a pretty good car to compete with these top 2 Miatas here. But Hoosier, Carbotech, Youngblood Racing Wheels, I mean, they've just performed for me all year, and I appreciate them coming out and supporting us here at the Runoffs.
A lot of talk during the race from the guys in the booth about the power slides, the car moving around. It really looked like you were either working really hard or had a huge grin on your face the whole race.
Well, I wish that was the case. I actually, about the 4th lap, I lost 2nd gear. So I was having to downshift in the 1st and then go in the 3rd. And when I downshift in the 1st, it would just lock up that rear end. So, and then I think I heated the tires up too much and the car started pushing and sliding, but I was doing everything I could to keep that thing in gear.
Well, kudos to you for holding on to a car that was challenging you. Congratulations on the bronze, guys. Mazda 1, 2, 3, MX-5 Miata, and RX-3.
Love it.
Boy, I'll tell you, a history of Mazda there on that podium when you take a look at everything that unfolded. And Matt Reynolds is going to go away because you never forget to thank Mom and your girlfriend. Nice
exactly.
job.
Yeah, good job there. Got all the sponsors in and the important people.
And the important. And you know, look at it this way. When you think about it, the tire rack pole, GoPro Hero Award, National Championship. The only award he won is the one award that a pole sitter can never win, and that's the hard charger. So absolutely phenomenal day for this guy.
Yeah, he sure does. And great victory lap there. Got the helmet off, waving at all the course workers. Everybody's got their hands up, giving them thumbs up and high fives. Well deserved, my friend. Good job for Matt Reynolds. Congratulations on your championship.
Boy, no kidding on that one. Here are the unofficial results. Matt Reynolds, Jim Daniels, Aaron Downey. We've talked about completing the podium. Bruce Qualley darn near getting that podium there. What a run in that Huffaker, Jensen Healy, and then John Brocky, the multi-time champion, showing some good form, just couldn't crack that top 3, ends up 5th. Josh Carroll, great last couple of laps getting around and hanging on to 6th. Roland Camber coming with him, and then Jamie Bloss late in the race, sneaking by Larry Cooper for that 8th spot. Cooper right there in 9th, and then that beautiful Caterham of Rich Kodrowski filling out our top 10. Love watching those cars race too.
Yeah, it sure is. It's great to see, and great battling in the E-Production class. Glad to see the productions getting carried on, letting those new cars in and getting these fields built up. 26 cars took the green flag here in E-Production.
And they put on a great show, obviously a fairly dominating run at the front end of things by Matt Reynolds, and I loved his line. You know, everybody says every once in a while when you're picked to win by a sports car, they call it the sports car curse, that if you're picked, it's almost a guarantee you won't win. And I loved how he looked up at it and went, they were right. They were right. Yeah, that was good. Absolutely fantastic, as is the day here. As you can see, it is beautiful, and looking forward to it. Not a huge breeze here, but just enough when you're up on those hillsides. The sun beats down out here, and it gets a little warm, so it is glorious. Thanks so much for joining us for our coverage of the National Championship battle in E-Production here at the 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs for Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. For Jeff Lepper and for Haywood Wagner down in pit lane, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks for joining us, folks. Hope you had a great day. The 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs are being brought to you in HD by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. And by Hankook, driving emotion.
Some people go to enormous lengths in the name of safety, like the inventor of the flame-resistant racing suit, Bill Simpson. Courageous engineering is also the Mazda way, and why the 2014 Mazda 3 has an available class-exclusive suite of 8 safety features and a top safety rating. Because when it comes to safety, you can never go too far. This is the 2014 Mazda 3. What do you drive?
This is Kenny. Kenny is a dentist, but he races autocross on the weekends. But he's not thinking about his tires right now. Kenny buys all his tires from TireRack.com. Using their exclusive test track reviews, he knows he's always getting the right tires for his car. But Kenny's not thinking about tires right now. Kenny's thinking, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is awesome. TireRack.com, proud sponsor of the Tire Rack SCCA National Solo Program.
The machines and their manufacturers span the planet. This is no spec series. Diversity breeds excellence and brings battle. Ride with the best and test the iconic circuits of North